Stand by. Ho, what's up, smarty people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Make your next thing a big one. This week's shows, well, it's Friday, and you know where I'm going to be tonight. I'll be at the Rab in Convoy, Arkansas, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Yeah, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show, at least for a few minutes while you're singing on stage. Yeah, whatever you do all week long, you spend your time Friday night at the Rab, your favorite place to be in the whole wide world. I said it. I said it. Come on by. Challenge me on it. They got a full bar, the kitchen's open, pool tables, pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're doing it, while you're waiting to sing on stage right next to me, you can do it at the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam starts at 8 p.m. tonight, Friday night, until 12:30 in the AM. A little past my bedtime. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast. It's called What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Friday, February 18th, 2022. 10 things you need to know today. Number one, Biden says Russia is creating an excuse to invade Ukraine. President Biden said Thursday there was a strong chance Russia would invade Ukraine, quote, in the next several days, end quote, warning that Moscow was, quote, engaged in a false flag operation to have an excuse to go in, end quote. Biden said Russian-backed separatists had created, quote, a big provocation, end quote, with shelling in eastern Ukraine. The Ukrainian government and separatists accused each other of violating a ceasefire. Russia expelled the number 2 diplomat at the U.S. Embassy in Moscow without immediately saying why. Separately, Russia said in a written statement that the U.S. January 26 refusal to accept Russia's demand to halt NATO expansion in Europe left Moscow with no option but to respond, including with, quote, military technical measures, end quote. This is according to NBC News and the Washington Post. Number 2, judge says Trump, 2 of his children must testify about business practices. A New York judge ruled Thursday that former President Donald Trump and 2 of his adult children, Donald Trump Jr. and Ivanka Trump, must testify under oath in State Attorney General Letitia James' investigation into their business practices. The judge, State Supreme Court Justice Arthur Engoron, rejected a request from Trump lawyers to quash James's subpoenas, which they said were part of a politically motivated investigation. Engoron wrote in his 8-page decision that James's office, having investigated a business and uncovered, quote, copious evidence of possible financial fraud, end quote, clearly has the authority to question the company's principles under oath. Trump's lawyers indicated they planned to appeal. This is according to the New York Times and NBC News. Number 3, Canadian police arrest 2 organizers of Freedom Convoy protest. Canadian police late Thursday started arresting organizers of the so-called Freedom Convoy that has been clogging the streets in the capital city, Ottawa, near Parliament, for more than 2 weeks. A spokesperson for Freedom Convoy 2022, one of the main groups behind the coronavirus restriction protest, said leaders Tamara Lick and Chris Barber had been arrested, with Lick charged with, quote, aiding and abetting mischief, end quote. Ottawa police did not immediately comment. The report of the arrests came shortly after authorities promised the, quote, imminent, end quote, end of the demonstration. Truckers have paralyzed Ottawa's downtown for weeks, blocking streets with semi-trucks and blaring horns in protest of restrictions, including vaccine mandates for drivers returning across the U.S.-Canada border. This is according to the Washington Post. Number 4, Florida House passes 15-week abortion ban. The Florida House on Thursday passed a bill seeking to ban abortions in the state after 15 weeks of pregnancy. Republicans pushed the bill through in party line 78-39 vote. The Senate, also controlled by the GOP, is expected to promptly take up the proposal and send it to Governor Ron DeSantis, Republican, for his signature. The proposal would establish the state's strictest abortion restrictions since the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision that established women's right to abortion access nationwide. Florida is one of an increasing number of Republican-dominated state legislatures to propose or enact laws setting up challenges to Roe and other Supreme Court precedents, which have protected the right to abortion access until fetal viability at about 24 weeks. This is according to the Florida Times Union. Number 5, report 73% of Americans have Omicron immunity. The Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation at the University of Washington estimated Thursday that 73% of Americans are immune to the Omicron coronavirus variant. Quote, "We have been exposed to this virus and we know how to deal with it," end quote, said Ali Moqdad, a professor of health metrics science at the university. New infections and hospitalizations have fallen sharply from the Omicron peak. Dr. Anthony Fauci, President Biden's top health advisor, said the nation now needs to focus on balancing the need to protect people from COVID-19 with increasing pandemic fatigue. People, quote, are just up to here with COVID. They just really need to get their life back, end quote. Fauci told Reuters, quote, "You don't want to be reckless and throw everything aside, but you've got to start inching toward that," end quote. This is according to USA Today and Reuters. Number 6, Walmart reports a strong quarter despite inflation. Walmart reported quarterly earnings that beat analyst expectations on Thursday. The retail giant also announced that it would boost its dividend. The news sent Walmart shares climbing by nearly 2% early in the day, although they closed down by 0.1%. Walmart said holiday shopping was strong and that its focus on value was helping it attract customers worried about the rising prices of groceries and other products across the country. Quote, "We know that consumers are focused on inflation and we're continuing to watch key item prices to ensure that we help them through this," end quote. Chief Financial Officer Brett Biggs said, quote, "This type of environment plays to our strengths," end quote. This is according to Barron's and CNBC. Number 7, former NYT columnist Nicholas Kristof ineligible to run for Oregon governor. The Oregon State Supreme Court ruled Thursday that former New York Times columnist Nicholas Kristof is ineligible to run for governor this year. Kristof announced his candidacy for the Democratic gubernatorial nomination in October after leaving the Times. In January, Oregon's Secretary of State Shamia Fagan said he was not eligible because of a rule requiring candidates to have lived in the state for 3 years before the election. Kristof, who lived in New York until December 2020, initially said state officials were trying to keep him off the ballot because of his willingness to challenge the status quo. On Thursday, he thanked the justices for considering the matter, saying he would, quote, "respect the court's decision and will not pursue this further," end quote. This is according to CNN and Axios. Number 8, Brazil death toll from floods, mudslides reaches 117. The death toll in floods and mudslides that demolished homes and cars in the Brazilian mountain town of Petrópolis rose to at least 117 on Thursday as search crews continued to sift through the wreckage. Another 116 people remain missing in the historic German-influenced town, so it was still impossible to know how many people died. Quote, "We don't know yet the full scale of this," end quote, Mayor Rubens Bontempo said in the aftermath of the Tuesday night landslides. Videos posted on social media showed mud and water crashing through the town and carrying away houses and vehicles. One video showed 2 buses disappearing into a river as passengers scrambled out windows, some only to be swept away. This is according to the Associated Press. Number 9, Netflix announces 5th and final season of Stranger Things. Netflix announced Thursday that its science fiction mega hit Stranger Things will be renewed for a 5th season, but it will be the show's last. Season 4 will come out in 2 parts this year, with Volume 1 making its debut on May 27th, followed by Volume 2 starting July 1st. It has been 3 years since the 3rd season of the drama set in the 1980s. Quote, 7 years ago, we planned out the complete story arc for Stranger Things, end quote. Creators Matt and Ross Duffer wrote in an open letter to fans. Quote, at the time, we predicted the story would last 4 to 5 seasons. It proved too large to tell in 4, but as you'll see for yourselves, we are now hurtling toward our finale, end quote. This is according to the Hollywood Reporter. Number 10, Russia's Kamila Valieva fails to medal after doping controversy. Russian figure skater Kamila Valieva had a rare error-filled long program performance on Thursday, falling into 4th place and failing to win a medal. Valieva botched her first 4 jumps and later fell while attempting a quad toe loop, finishing 5th in a long program and dropping out of medal contention. Her Russian teammates Anna Sherbakova and Alexandra Trusova took gold and silver, respectively, and Kaori Sakamoto of Japan won the bronze. It was an unexpected finish following the 15-year-old Russian star's doping controversy. Valieva, who had been favored to win the gold, had tested positive for a performance-enhancing heart drug before the games. She was suspended, but won an appeal to be allowed to skate. Her case remains unresolved. This is according to USA Today. That's 10 things you need to know today for Friday, February 18th, 2022. Hey, if you're in the Convoy, Arkansas area, won't you join me at the Rab in Convoy, Arkansas tonight? This has been What Makes You Smarter. If you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast. It's called What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Smarter. Thanks for sticking with me and coming along the journey, filling our heads with knowledge. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.